Going to do it.
Open look, Gomez, he hits it! What a play called by Tom Izzo in that timeout.
I was 7 years old watching a football game by myself, and I saw those winged helmets come out of the tunnel, and I was hooked at that point.
Hayden, Chicago! Oh my God! Hayden with the overtime winner!
Jameer gets to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
He drives, lobs to JD for a jam.
You play real good, you start. You don't play as good, you work your way back in. It's the American way, except America has gotten soft. But that is the American way. That's the way it works.
This is the 6-6 Kane Cunningham. Jameson Williams, he's got it! Touchdown, Lions. Now it's Larkin with a burst of speed. He scores! Gives the United States the lead for the first time tonight.
Might be a little difficult doing the show today without at least taking a glance at the leaderboard every once in a while and watching a little golf as the U.S. Open begins in Shinnecock today, right now. They're underway. Actually, I'm sorry, 6:35 is the first tee time. So excited for that, and excited to see how they handle such a rigorous course. It's more greens than anything else, probably. I thought Scotty Scheffler put it really well the other day when somebody asked him about a links course. He said, no, Shinnecock is not a links course. You're not running the ball up. You need flight. You need height on your shots. It's going to be an incredibly demanding course. I bet from a mental standpoint, it's going to be brutal. Although they are going to peel it back a little bit because of the winds. They're going to peel it back on the greens to a stemp meter of about 10 to 11, whereas in the past you've seen them at 13, 14. Was it last year? Correct me if I'm wrong here, Andy, because I know how much you love golf too. But correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Oakmont closer to an 18 on the greens, which is just ridiculous? Anyway,
I want to say it was something like that. But
yeah, I thought I read something like that where it was just absolutely insane. Welcome, everybody, on a Tullymore Thursday. We're glad you're with us here on X's and Bros throughout the great state of Michigan. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is alongside. And, of course, we always welcome your comments. It could be while you're watching a stream live, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on X as well. Maybe you're listening on one of our great station affiliates throughout the state. And we appreciate that. Talked to a lot of people at Boeing yesterday, and they were very excited to have us up there, number one. But number two, very complimentary that they enjoyed listening to Andy and I on their commutes up there in Petoskey, WMBN 104.7 FM, the Ticket, Northern Michigan. So now, however, maybe you connecting with us, we're just honored that we're a little part of your sports morning. Not a whole lot going on yesterday, unless you're really into soccer, and I know a lot of people are. I'm not going through a scoreboard of the soccer nations unless it's the United States of America. But I will tell you that, the Tigers did lose yesterday. I'm sure you already know that. They're going to have the night off, and then it's a 10-game homestand for Detroit with Chicago White Sox in town first and foremost for the weekend. And then it's the Yankees visiting, and then it's the Astros for 4. So it's 3-3-4. It's 10 games overall. Tarek Skubal gets the call in the opener. Detroit has dropped 4 of 5 after the 4-2 loss yesterday. In case you missed it, Detroit collected just a few hits. Kerry Carpenter and Kevin McGonigal with solo homers. And that's kind of the gist of the story, unfortunately. This is a team that's really frustrating. There are so many things that you could talk about with this team and how different our viewpoint should be right now compared to when we started the season and what our expectations were. I guess the good news is that the White Sox and Guardians lost. Are you even monitoring the other teams in the division to see where your team rises and falls? I'm not. They're 9 games back.
Yeah.
Okay. 6 games back in the wild card, 9 games back in the division. I'm not looking at it that way. Originally, Andy, when I first thought at the beginning of the season, whoever wins the division is going to make the playoffs, just because I thought the East with New York and Tampa, and I thought Toronto and Baltimore and Boston, I thought Boston might make a little bit of a play. They're horrible. They're 15.5 back. I thought out west it would be Seattle and Texas and Houston, but the A's have been better than I thought. They're 1.5 back of Seattle. There's been nobody. We do this pretty regularly. How many teams are over 500? Seattle is in the West. Chicago and Cleveland are in the Central, and New York and Tampa are in the AL East. In other words, a wild card could easily come from the AL Central. I think it's foolish to talk about that with the Tigers right now because you got to get right first, and they're not right. You've seen the movie Braveheart. He's not right in the head. This team isn't right on the field, unfortunately. So many flaws that we'll get to here on X's and Bros throughout the morning. Like I said, the 126th U.S. Open tees off at Shinnecock. J.J. Spawn is the defending champion. Give me the last 4 U.S. Open champs. J.J. Spawn at Oakmont. Bryson DeChambeau at Pinehurst. Wyndham Clark at the North Course at Los Angeles Golf Club. And Matt Fitzpatrick in 2002 won at the Country Club in Brookline. Those are your last 4 U.S. Open champions. Here's our Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question of the day. Who do you blame most for the Tigers' struggles? Scott Harris, A.J. Hinch, or the players? Here's the reason I bring this up. Another move made in the game yesterday by A.J. Hinch that did not work out. And it seems like, Andy, we're talking about that quite a bit this year. He's a guy in the past who's always had a great feel for the game. And he is a guy who has always pressed, for the most part, the right buttons. Doesn't it seem like, more oftentimes than not, he's pressing the wrong buttons this year?
I mean, yeah, 100%. There's no question about it, and the numbers kind of back it up this time around. So
yeah, when you see that they pinch hit more than anybody else, and they're betting $130 going into the game last night, when you see how often, and we mentioned this yesterday, how often he has substituted, could be a pinch hitter, could be a defensive replacement, could be, in the middle of an inning, a reliever, and it's not worked out. He has a success rate of a little bit more than 40%. He ranks 25th in that regard. I think a lot of people are starting to wonder a little bit.
does he have a lot of great buttons to push this year, like players to put in? Probably not. Like right now with the way some of the guys are pitching out of that bullpen and how, their bench isn't exactly the best when I talk about who to bring in, but like you'd like to see him just stick with the players that he has in his lineup originally that, maybe have potential to be everyday guys at some point because.
Well, wait a minute. So I think what you're saying is a fair question. If you have those players who, in your words, could be everyday guys, shouldn't you be playing them as everyday guys?
Yeah, that's the problem is that we still don't know some of these guys are everyday guys because they haven't been given the chance to play every day.
But his job is to put them in that position so you can judge if they're everyday guys.
I agree with that.
So that's number one.
Yep.
The other thing is he could easily, and this is part of his job, he could easily go to Scott Harris and say, we got to get rid of Jahmai Jones. I'm not going to use fill-in-the-blank player anymore. They're not serving a purpose. He could do that.
He could. You're right. And he probably
then leave it up to the front office and the departments, the various departments, to decide who takes his place.
They've had to at least talk about Jahmai Jones at this point.
Well, of course. I would guess he and Scott Harris talk every day, number one. But number two, AJ Hinch has a big say in this. He and Scott Harris run this organization.
Yeah, 100%. No doubt.
So don't leave any doubt about this. And by the way, he is now, unfortunately, with the Tigers, it's been this way for a little bit because he's 424 and 460. Under 500 is the manager of the Tigers. I'll tell you the reason we bring this up when we come back here on X's and Bros. We're just getting rolling here on a Thursday morning. Brian Bulaga, the former Green Bay Packer Super Bowl champ, is going to join us at 8:35 because there's a big event taking place in Detroit. This is X's and Bros brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Huge here for my good friend Josh Garvey and the team at Dorn Mayhew, West Michigan, one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms. Our worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. And Josh and his team connect with all the sports fans and businesses across Michigan. They bring you John Beeline on the Huge Show. They bring you Lomas Brown during the Lion season. They are a top shelf team when it comes to growth and understanding what their clients need. And mix in when we do the Beat Huge contests or the NCAA March Madness brackets. Thank you, Josh Garvey, for what you do for the Huge Show and the Michigan Sports Network. Simple and easy. Just find Dorn Mayhew on all the social networks or just Google Dorn Mayhew and find out how they can help your business. And again, a special thanks to Josh Garvey and the Dorn Mayhew team in West Michigan.
You know, we're fortunate here in Michigan. We have some of the greatest golf courses in the country. Tullymore and St. Ives is part of the reason we can brag the way we do about our golf. Once you visit Tullymore, you'll keep coming back. The view is breathtaking. The golf is fantastic. The accommodations are regal, and the people are special. It really does feel like a home away from home at Tullymore. Make your play and stay reservations today by going to tullymoregolf.com or by calling 1-800-972-4837. That's 1-800-972-4837.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Welcome back on a Tell Me More Thursday, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is with us. The reason, and just before the break, we were talking about A.J. Hinch and some of the decisions that he's made, and unfortunately, they just haven't worked out this year. He has not pressed the right buttons. That doesn't mean he doesn't have a feel for his team. It doesn't mean that he's lost his baseball mind or anything like that. It's just not working out, unfortunately. And Kyle Finnegan comes in, and Kyle Finnegan gives up 3 hits and a run and walks a couple, and he's walked way too many this year. It's obnoxious. It's just not who he is. And I think most people, like me, wanted Kyle Finnegan back on this team. I thought it was really wise that they were able to make a trade for him in the first place. You thought it was the same thing?
Yeah, I don't know how you couldn't want Kyle Finnegan back for what he did at the end of last year.
I agree. I mean, I wanted him here first and foremost, and in a trade, and they got him. And I said that on the air, and I also wanted him re-signed. So he just, unfortunately, just hasn't been good. You can't always look at, unfortunately, you can't look at the earned run average. If I'm going to sit there and say it can be very, very misleading when it comes to closers and guys out of the bullpen, because a lot of times you're coming in with the bases. Sometimes there's some traffic on the bases, which wouldn't be applied to you. It would be applied to the pitcher before you, but it can be a different scenario. Sometimes you leave with runners on base and they're charged to you, and the guy doesn't do his job on the other side. But it can be very misleading. Unfortunately for him, you got to look at the walks, hits per innings pitched, especially for a reliever, and it's 1.58. Last year, it was 0.72 for him. It has doubled this year, the number of hits and walks per innings pitched. And it's skyrocketed with the walks. A career high 6 walks per 9 innings pitched. He has more walks per 9 innings pitched than strikeouts per 9 innings pitched. That's a huge issue for him. In other words, he's pitched 34 innings, folks, and he's surrendered 24 walks. It's just not good, right? Anyway, so buttons pushed, none of that. Andy, I texted Andy yesterday, another situation that doesn't work out for A.J. Hinch, unfortunately. And Andy's response is more people talking about him being let go, fired, wanting him gone, whatever it was. I mean, I figured
it's more than I've ever seen.
More people calling for AJ to be fired than I've ever seen before. That's what Andy's
like. You
was.
You would see people maybe complain about him at times last year, and they started going that losing streak and everything. But I have never seen as many people like asking for him to get fired on social media as I've seen in the past 2 weeks. I feel like. And, it makes sense.
Remember this.
But...
I mean, this is what happens with managers. It comes with the territory.
Yeah.
But we are all of us are armchair quarterbacks when it comes to managing baseball teams. Who you would put in the lineup. Andy and I were talking about this just before the show. Who is it who should be playing but isn't? So that's number one. And number two, anytime you pull a pitcher, anytime you do something like that, it is the equivalent of an offensive coordinator. See, you and I, when we watch basketball, there's no way you and I are going, why in the hell is J.B. Bickerstaff running that play? You never say that. You never say, why can't Detroit do a better job of dumping the puck in, chasing it down, and establishing possession in the offensive zone on the power play? Rarely do I hear people say that. I don't like that play. Are you watching what they're doing, right? Until Mickey Redmond takes you through a replay and draws it up for you, are you truly understanding the play? But in baseball, because play has stopped, you are able to witness what the manager is about to do or is doing. And in football, of course, it's why are you running the ball? Just basic. Why are you throwing the ball? Again, basic. Or who are you throwing it to? Forgetting all the while, even though you're a baseball, even though you're knowledgeable about football, all the while looking at it and going, I know the quarterback's got a number of different options. Why is he throwing it to this one option?
I mean, with Dan Campbell here locally, it's been the should he go for it or shouldn't he go for it on fourth down thing for
Right,
a while.
right.
That's you see nonstop, and a lot of people seem to love it when it was working, and a lot of people seem to complain about it when it isn't.
That's right. I mean, people love, and when they went 15-2 and they were going for it more than anybody else in football, people loved it. Last year, they go for it. They didn't love it. Here's the reason they didn't love it. Obviously, they weren't making it quite as often, but also because of personnel. Okay?
Yeah, and
So
there's some running plays on 4th and 3 and stuff like that. But there's a lot of ways you can go with that one. But
sure, I mean, you could talk about that, and you could play devil's advocate for that all day long.
A long time.
If you think everybody's going to, if you think they're going to pass, and the other team thinks they're going to pass, isn't that a perfect time to run? Couldn't that be the argument? But we digress. The AJ Hinch scenario is an interesting one. Remember, he signed a contract extension, and he still is. I truly believe. I still believe he's one of the best managers in baseball.
I agree with that. I think he's a great baseball mind.
But I will say this, and it's hard to argue this, Andy. I will say he does have a tendency to be extremely stubborn with his decisions.
And exactly.
And
exactly
it's hard for all of us to change. If it's hard for me to change certain things that I eat, I can't imagine how difficult it may be if I was managing a baseball team, believing in a specific scenario and a specific player, and not and shying away from that.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about some of the guys that he's going to or trying to go to that maybe aren't the best options. Well, I think he's used to doing that, being able to go to the next guy, in the pen when there's a situation like that. The Montero to Vest thing the other day is the best example, I think, of this. I think he needs to try to stick with some of these people when things are working right now, because maybe he doesn't have the best personnel on his bench. And it seems like he hasn't done that.
But are they working?
It's a fair question.
If you say if something's working, he needs to stick with them. How are they working when they're 14 games under 500?
No, I mean, what I'm saying is just in specific situations, it feels like maybe if he did stick with people like Cater Montero the other night, like Montero got through the 7th inning just fine, made the right pitch, McGonigal made an error. I feel like you got to leave him in to give him the chance to get out of that inning instead of switching to the next guy right now. Because
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah,
I mean, I said that yesterday. I said, look, I mean, he did his job. He did what he was supposed to do. What you want there is you want someone to induce a ground ball to the left side of the infield. And that's exactly what he did. It's not his fault that McGonigal didn't make the play. I thought AJ Hinch, and we said it yesterday, I thought he overmanaged. On the other hand, what I ask you is, who is not in your lineup, who you want in your lineup on a regular basis?
That's where I have no complaints about him with the actual lineup day to day, because other than pinch hitting Jahmai Jones right now, he shouldn't be doing that. I don't think in any situation.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I have no issue with that whatsoever. I understand why people. I've been on that bandwagon too. Okay,
the numbers are what the numbers are. How do you keep going to them? You know what I mean?
Okay, well, exactly right. 100%. I mean, when you got a guy who hasn't hit a lefty since mid-May or so, then there's a problem. Let me ask you this, because here's the other debate. The other debate is let Kerry Carpenter hit more against left-handed pitching. So if you and I think, and you just said this, stop going to Jahmai Jones. The numbers are what they are. Isn't that what you said? Okay.
I did say that. Yep.
All right. How are the numbers not what they are for Kerry Carpenter?
They are
against lefties.
They are.
Okay. So he's batting 182 against lefties this year.
The only argument you'd have for Kerry Carpenter, and I'm not even necessarily someone that's in this department, I'd rather have him just try to bring somebody else up. Maybe it's a right-handed bat. But
that's easy to say. The person has to, you have to have some options. You have to be on the 40-man roster. You have to be a guy who is earned that opportunity. And then how long are you going to give that player that opportunity?
That's completely fair too.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's more into it. Here's the debate. And this is what you should be saying back to me. How many at-bats does Kerry Carpenter have to get the 182 average? And the answer to that is 11.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And for you might say that's not nearly enough for me.
Yeah, you got to give him a chance. You have to give him a chance.
Yeah. How long is a chance? Okay. That's the question. How much? It's easy to say it in a generic form. Tell me how much is a chance, because Jahmai Jones's chances right now, He's got, 85 at-bats, and we've come to a conclusion. 11 isn't enough for Kerry Carpenter. Quick timeout. We'll talk more on the other side. This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marx. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marx, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Back with you, 35 after the hour here on X's and Bros. Good point by people texting in. Our friend Mitch Lyons, really good point. He says, look, the Tigers have 4 guys in their every damn night batting order that are batting about buck 82. Let the guy hit. Okay, I understand that. I mean, that's a little extreme. There wasn't one player in the lineup yesterday hitting 182 except for Jake Rogers, who only plays because you got to get Dylan Dingler off his haunches from behind the plate, even though Dingler was the DH yesterday. It's a fair point. Yeah, I mean, in other words, I think what he's saying is there's nobody in this lineup that is so good outside of maybe a handful of guys that make you go, I gotta have him in my lineup every day, unfortunately. So here's what I would say, though. I'm not trying to defend A.J. Hinch by any stretch because I've said already, Jahmai Jones, move on. Last year, you could understand it going into the season. You just can't understand it going this long. Last year, Jahmai Jones, in 104 at-bats against lefties, hit 288 with 7 homers. All 7 home runs that he hit last year as a Tiger were against left-handed pitching. So he was, you would call, a right-handed hitting specialist. He only hits against lefties. He's not going to hit against righties. This year, in 69 at-bats, he's batting 159 with 2 homers. That's why I always ask, how long is enough? How much is enough? And I think we've seen enough. I do. I don't think they have anybody who can come in automatically and do it right away. They don't have a right-handed stick in the minor leagues that makes you go, sorry, stop the presses. Everybody stop what you're doing. Make sure that you are getting things ready for this guy's call-up. Now, Kerry Carpenter holds a place near and dear in people's hearts because of, what he did in Cleveland last year, what he's done in general. I mean, first of all, he's a great guy, but he also has power that is needed in this lineup. You hit 26 bombs like he did a year ago. That's pretty damn good, right? You'll take that. And he's got 10 homers this year in 51 games. You'll take that. It's needed. Forget the batting average for a moment. So I get it. The only thing I would tell you, and I gave you the 182 against lefties this year in a very small sample size. If I used his career as a sample size, would that help you? I'm just asking. If I used his career, like what is it that you need to digest and understand that is not a strength of his? Because in his career, he's a 205 hitter with 7 homers. In his career, his on-base percentage is 27%. And in his career, his slug is 326. Righties, it's 534, to give you an idea. It's half, almost half of what it is against righties. I don't know. It's really important to have all that information before we just start saying, you got to let Kerry Carpenter hit against lefties. I think the point a lot of people always say is, well, why not let him hit? Because you do it for Riley Green. Like, one lefty is good enough for you to understand. One lefty who hits against lefties means everybody who is left-handed should hit against lefties? I don't think so. I hope you don't feel that way. But that's oftentimes what I get. Shep, Riley Green hits against lefties. So why not Kerry Carpenter? Well, because Riley Green hits lefties a lot better than Kerry Carpenter does. But if you don't have, this is the conundrum that you're in. If you, if you don't have a righty who's coming up and who deserves to be in that lineup against lefties, because it's not Jahmai Jones, why not use Kerry Carpenter for a bigger sample size? And then it begs this question, and this is a feel thing for any manager. It begs the question, how long are you going to give him? How many times does he have to fail in order for you to go, okay, that experiment is over? How many games can you lose, especially when you're 14 games under 500, for you to take that chance? I would just let Kerry Carpenter hit against lefties. Okay, for how long? What if he doesn't come through? What if it's a miserable experiment gone wrong? How many games can you afford to lose? The response is, you're not winning them now with Jahmai Jones. So what difference does it make? Fair enough. Just be ready for it. Because if you're looking at history and you're saying Jahmai Jones's last year and his success against lefties was a little bit of a misnomer, I'm going to tell you right now that based on his history, Kerry Carpenter doesn't have really good numbers against lefties. And it goes back to what I've said for over 2 years. This team needs more power from the right side. Oh, my God, here he is on that rant again. Yeah, you're damn right I am. Because it's not just, well, Torkelson's the only righty and Dingler's the only righty, and one's got 16 and one's got 12 homers, and you need more power from the right side, blah, blah. It's you're giving a guy, a career journeyman, a guy who has had one good year in his career, and it was a year ago for Detroit, and right now you're sitting there going, okay, this is our answer? Because you've got lefties who can't do it either. I'm not asking you for the right-handed version of Yordan Alvarez. I'm just asking you for a development player or a player who can actually do that job and has a history of doing that job. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. The easy thing is, you know what? Just let Kerry Carpenter hit against lefties. I get that feeling. I do. I'd rather see him in there than Jahmai Jones too. Full disclosure, absolutely. But I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that's the answer. That's only the option, unfortunately. And it's the option because the other guy's not doing the job. I'm not confident that Kerry Carpenter is going to go in there against lefties and have great success. Something needs to be done. What is Scott Harris doing to do it? Let me get to a text. You understand where I'm coming from with that, Andy?
I do, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
All
I
right.
mean, in general, if it was a perfect world, I mean, yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying. Maybe people have a soft spot in their heart for Kerry Carpenter because of what
They
he did a couple
absolutely
times
do.
in the playoffs.
100%.
And
until he makes an error in right field, absolutely they have a soft spot. But that's okay. Yeah, I'm not saying it's wrong. We're humans.
Yeah, no, I mean,
there are certain players we really like, and he's one of them.
he's had some big moments, and when they were winning games, he had some great spots there. But at the end of the day, if it was a perfect world, yeah, I'd probably just replace the player altogether with somebody that could hit both sides.
Yeah, I don't need. Like I said, I don't need a perfect world. I'm looking for a scenario where when there's a lefty on the bump, I've got an answer to it. I've got a better option to pinch hit for Kerry Carpenter. That's all.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
it worked last year. It doesn't work this year.
That's kind of what I was getting at in the last segment. Like, I would like, I never like to say that because, like you say, like who you have to have a person, right? And I don't know who specifically would be the right option to call up that hits left-handed pitching perfectly. 'Cause at the same time, a lot of those guys in the minors, what people forget is you want them to develop too. So you don't want them to just like, play in sparingly spots as pinch hitters or like not get as many games as they, should be playing on a daily basis. Right. So you have to,
that's right. I mean, you need guys to play every day in the minors for them to get better.
That's the thing. So that's why when people say like, oh, you just have to call somebody else up, you have to kind of know who. It's probably gotta be somebody that's more of like a journeyman type player that might be having a good season. And maybe you kind of already know what, his major league future is, or at least you think you know it from an organizational standpoint.
Right.
So that's where it's a little bit tougher. I'm not sure exactly what player they have for that. I think I've heard
Ben Malgary is the guy.
I've heard his name. Yes.
He's an outfielder like Jones, who doesn't really play the outfield. B, he's right-handed. C, he's having a really good year. Okay. And at age 26, At some point, you're going to go blank or get off the pot. Am I wrong there? I mean, how long does a guy need to marinate in the minors? He's 26 years old. Do you feel like this guy can do it? The answer to that would be, I mean, as a career minor league hitter, 304, he's had plenty of at-bats in the minors for you to warrant what type of player he's going to be. He's had over 1,800 minor league at-bats. You know what he is as a minor league hitter in his career now? A 259 hitter. Is that your answer? Your answer is a guy who has close to 2,000 at-bats. He's a 260 hitter, and he's going to come up and start hitting major league pitching? Okay, fine. It's better than what you got right now. I just want you to understand what we're dealing with here. I'm trying to give you all the scenario. Damn it, the answer isn't always just get rid of him. You got to have somebody to replace him.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
And the answer isn't always, well, let's let Kerry bat against lefties because you've got all these crappy hitters in your lineup anyway.
I
want to win. I want to have a scenario where I've got players who I can rely on. And you don't have that with this organization.
They simply just don't right now. That's the truth. The only other guy I've ever thought of is Corey Julks, just because, again, he's a right-handed bat. His stats aren't like anything eye-popping either. He's probably not going to fix the situation for you. But in this situation, I would maybe like to see him get a chance over Jemai Jones. It's the only other thing I can think of right now.
Yeah, I would be fine with that.
Because, again, if you're Scott Harris, you got to think that he's trying to think of anything he can possibly do to replace this guy right now.
Well, you would hope so. And look, it's fair. Julks is a good answer. He's 30 years old. Fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. He could probably adjust to a guy who doesn't have to play every day. That's fine too. He does have some Major League Baseball experience. Okay. He's got close to 500 at-bats in the majors. Ugly numbers.
Yeah, they're not great.
They're not great numbers, dude. Okay. So, I mean, this is the deeper issue that we don't always look at. What we look at is, well, who's on our major league team right now and who's quote unquote red hot in his minor league season? Mel Gary. All right. And then you say Julks, and I'm like, okay, that's fine because he's got this, that, and he's got the other thing, right? Well, he's a 244 career major league hitter against lefties in his major league career. It's better than what Jemai Jones is.
And say right now, I'd take 244. I'm not saying he'd even hit that, but you don't know unless you try. That's
right.
Sure.
With by the way, very little power.
Yeah,
very little power. So just so you know,
I get what they're trying to I understand, man. Like I'm not gonna be the guy to tell you that Kerry Carpenter has to hit against lefties because he probably has proven it for long enough that he can't. But it's like Jemai Jones is simply just in a place right now where it's not good for him. I'm sure he sees some of the stuff too. Like he probably needs a reset of some kind too at this point.
Yeah, I will be surprised, not stunned, but I'll be surprised that if he's still with this team for the weekend.
Right.
I am. I mean, AJ Hinch made note of it last week.
Pretty much, yeah.
You know, we're going to see a lot of lefties against Cleveland and against Houston. This is where we need him, and he has not done his job. And it's hard to argue that, okay? And if short term he's out and Julks or Mel Gary is in, then they start using. But if that's the case, then Kerry Carpenter's not going to hit against lefties. My frustration, I think a lot of Tigers fans' frustration would be this. You have to be willing to adjust in life. Not that AJ Hinch should be fired, but should he be adjusting more and a willingness to adjust more this year with this team? You fall into habits. We all do. I'm going to Will Vest with Cater Montero on the mound. Cater Montero threw 30 pitches, 21 for strikes. Did his job. All right, gave up a single. Oh my God, crucify him. Why are you pulling him there? The reason you're pulling him is because that's what you've always done. The reason you're pulling him is because that is a habit that you have. You made your mind up before you saw the performance that's what you were going to do.
I mean, he always says
the reason I say that is because there's no way after getting a ground ball to third base that you can pull him. You had to have had your mind made up already.
That's he always has
Right?
that comment where he says, we really like it when it works. We all really like it when it works. And we all really don't like it when it doesn't work. It's like, hey,
he's right about that.
Yeah,
He's right
I
about
do
that.
understand what he's saying there. But at the same time, like if it is continuously not working this season, maybe you do need to make a little bit of an adjustment with that and go against some of the things you've done in the past with this team.
Yeah, it's the Seinfeld episode. Do the opposite. Okay.
I've always liked AJ Hinch, man. I tried to back him time and time again, but it's just gotten to a point with this bullpen where if one
I
guy
like him too. That has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but
nothing to do with it.
I'm just saying, I'm not the guy. It's always been like fire him. So I'm looking for any reason to fire him because I don't think that. I think that at some point though, you just have to kind of roll with the hot hand, and I don't know if he's doing that enough.
I get that mindset. It's not always how I feel because I think, especially in pitching in today's day and age, it's about matchups.
For sure, they play that all the time.
Here's my issue. Montero has been a starter, and he's been effective. Why you pull him after 65 pitches in one of those outings, I don't know, okay? And it blew up in his face. This is what he did. He came in and he struck out Jose Altuve the other night, all right, on 4 pitches. Then he gives up a third pitch single to Diaz. Then after a little bit of a battle, it was a 7-pitch at bat, he gets a ground ball to third. This is why I think you had your mind made up. Nothing in that inning would indicate that Cater Montero is out of gas or not effective. He got what he needed. And then you pull him and bring in Vest. And that's just one example from a couple of days ago. That's all. And then the Finnegan example yesterday. That's the frustration. Okay? Don't make your mind up. The feel aspect of it, that when you do something like that, everybody assumes you are automatically linked to numbers. And if you are linked to numbers, then you cannot in any way convince any of us that it's wise to keep going to Jahmai Jones against a lefty. You're picking and choosing your numbers with players, some who are more established for you in certain situations. Don't tell me that Cater Montero hasn't proven more so far this year than Jahmai Jones has proven this year so far. Our phone number on the Meyer Hotline, 866-838-4843. Our text number is Sports Radio 21,000. You can join us in the chat as well as we stream live on X, Facebook, and YouTube. A little bit later on, we will talk with Brian Balaga. He's going into the Polish American Sports Hall of Fame tonight. He's a Super Bowl champ, and we're going to talk with him. He's going in with David Legwan, Rob Gronkowski, Dave Myers as well. But at 8:35, Brian Balaga joins us. Another example of some hockey toughness, speaking of David Legwan. And but when we come back, a bigger mess perhaps of a season for the Tigers than we originally thought. And a national writer is talking more and more loudly about Tarek Skubal and the time running out. We'll get to all that on the other side here on X's and Bros. Glad you're with us on a Tullymore Thursday. And we're brought to you this hour by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered to MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
Huge here for the Carmody Brothers and all the Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. They have some huge deals happening every week. Buy one boneless wing, get one free every Thursday. They also have their bottomless appetizers. Groups can get bottomless apps starting at $9.99, and they also have the Pick Six meal for two. Get 2 entrees, 2 sides, and 2 drinks starting at $19.99. That's happening at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. Huge deals every week.
Hey, West Michigan, Mitch Lyons here. You've heard about our support of Tiger legend Kirk Gibson's fight against Parkinson's disease. Now we have a local opportunity to support West Michigan families affected by Parkinson's too. The first annual Drive Out Parkinson's Golf event presented by the Grady's Parkinson's Promise will be held Monday, June 29th at Watermark Country Club. And while the golf is at full capacity, you still have a chance to help support the cause. Mitch Lyons Wealth is the title sponsor, and we'd love to have others join us. If your business would like to support and be represented at the outing, or if you would like to contribute personally, it's easy to do by joining our team today. Just go to birdease.com, that's BIRDEASE.com/Drive Out Parkinson's to sign up for sponsorship packages or donate today. X's and Bros and the Huge Show will both do their shows live from the course, and Shep and Huge are playing in the event. Join us in supporting this great cause. A portion of the proceeds will go to Gibby Center, and the rest will support local families. Go to birdease.com/Drive Out Parkinson's or contact me at MitchLyonsWealth.com for more info.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at Tigers.com and MLB.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the Huge Show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
Second hour of the program. Thanks for being with us here on X's and Bros on this Tullymore Thursday. This hour brought to you by our friends at Meijer. Always welcome your feedback via text on the stream as we stream live at XB Mornings on YouTube, Facebook, and on X as well. Or you can call us on the Meijer hotline, 866-838-4843. And the text, as I mentioned, Sports Radio 21,000. Hey, just real quick, I don't know how many people watch college baseball. I enjoy it. Oftentimes have some really good stories when it comes to college baseball. Georgia and Oklahoma played yesterday. Oklahoma won 11-4, so they move on in the College World Series. There are brothers, Kyle and Kobe Branch, who played against one another. Kobe Branch played for Georgia. Kyle plays for Oklahoma. Kyle's a shortstop for Oklahoma. And it was pretty cool because in his final, Kobe's he's a senior. He's done after this year. He's at Georgia. In his final at bat, he hit a home run. And they had ESPN had a shot of his brother watching it. So his brother makes, a wow type moment, a wow type expression, and daps his brother up going around the bases. Would you do that with your brother? If your brother hit a home run against you, would you give him a fist pump as he rounded the base?
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that during the game.
I think that would be a hard thing, but yeah. I love the family first type attitude.
I do too. That's
so it's cool.
Yeah.
So it's really good for Oklahoma. It's not good for Georgia. You know what? This is how much of a mess it has been for the Tigers. However you feel about Wenceel Perez, he's been used at times effectively this year. You saw what happened, that he was unavailable yesterday for the game. Why? He was in the training room.
Didn't see that.
And a plyo band came back and smacked him in the face.
It's one of the craziest things I've ever heard.
I've heard of a hell of a lot worse. And how bad can the plyo band be to smack you in the face the night before and then take you out of the game the following day? Maybe it smacked him in the eye, and you had some water in the eye, and maybe it's your eye swollen. I get that.
Yeah, and they're saying
it's not like you're losing Aaron Judge in your lineup.
No,
right?
no, yeah. I mean, I think everybody kind of understood that part of it. It's just more the fact that it's like, oh my gosh, like how?
What else can go wrong?
Yeah.
Like when you read a headline that he's injured in a training room accident, you're thinking, oh my God, he's putting 4 1/4 on the squat rack and something snapped.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Not getting hit in the band of the face. And a lot of the tweets I said he's being further evaluated.
Yeah. He's working with a therapy band, snapped off the hook, and hit him in the left eye. So we got to check his face. We got to check his eyes. We're pretty concerned about it. That's what AJ Hinch said. We're pretty concerned about it. My God, man. I mean, seriously, what else? What else could go wrong? The trade deadline is still more than a month away. And as this team loses more, even though a lot of people felt good after winning a series against Tampa, right? And you should feel good about beating a quality team like that. You skid back and you end up going 1-4 on the road trip. You lose 2 in Cleveland because 1 got rained out, and you lose 2 out of 3 in Houston. So you go 1-4, which then raises not just concerns and shaking of the head and people giving up and flipping the clicker off and saying, I'm going to wash my boat, for crying out loud. What it does is it opens up more of a pool of players who many people think could be traded. Tarek Skubal's name is always first and foremost on everybody's mind. It was even before this team had problems this year. It was a year ago. And as we mentioned last year, this is going to get monotonous. It's going to get nauseating. It's going to continue. And it has continued. And I understand why. Jeff Passan from ESPN was on the Rich Eisen podcast yesterday. Here's what he had to say about possibly trading Tarek Skubal. And look, the question is a good one. Why would a team trade for Tarek Skubal knowing that the winter landscape is so uncertain and you have him basically for 2 months because Passan says it's going to take a haul to get him? I got a couple of questions for you on the other side. Plus, I want to get to some text. Here's Jeff Passan yesterday.
And that's what you base your offers on, right? There's an understanding that you have one advantage in this situation, and that's that the 2 months that you get Tarek Skubal and however long October lasts, you're going to have the opportunity to get a leg up on the other teams. The cost is going to be, as long as he is healthy, as long as he is productive, $400 million plus. And I think that's going to be the case, whether there's a salary cap or not.
Okay, he's talking about in the offseason, right? How much is it going to take to get him? And I get it. I really do. Who else is marketable for this team? I saw somebody yesterday suggest that with the way things are going, the Tigers could unload, obviously, Skubal, Gleyber Torres. There was a report yesterday that 80%, there's an 80% chance of him getting traded. I have no problem with that. I didn't think he was coming back this year. I don't think he's coming back next year because you've got some talented players in the minors. At some point, you're going to give them a chance. When they're ready, you hope the organization knows that better than anybody else. You and I don't follow Erie baseball, and we don't follow the Toledo Mud Hens. All right? Not as closely as we do with the Tigers anyway. So us trying to figure out when they deserve to be called up. I use the Jace Young example all the time. Remember, a guy who's batted about 350 in the minors, you wanted him up because he deserved it. He came up, and he hit close to 200. So you got to be careful there. But Gleyber Torres, yeah, if healthy, he'd get traded. Now, that's a big if. So we'll see what happens. And then somebody said Jack Flaherty, if healthy. Okay. You're not getting much for Jack Flaherty. Sorry. Drew Anderson. Okay, reliable arm out of the bullpen. Kyle Finnegan. Yeah, you're left on a contract and a decent arm out of the bullpen. Nobody's bringing you a haul that makes you say this is a franchise-changing move. Kenley Jansen. Sure, trade him. It's going to be hard to find a team that might want him considering he's not very effective. Jake Rogers. Somebody put Jake Rogers. Who's trading for a $156 catcher? Now, if somebody's trading
that's
for
one of the craziest
Austin
things
Hedges
I've heard
in the past, what's that?
That's one of the crazier things I've heard in a while. Jake Rogers.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if somebody was willing to trade for Austin Hedges, why not trade for Jake Rogers?
I guess.
Okay. You need some decent backup catchers. I would remind you, Detroit needs a decent backup catcher, so they have one, and you have to weigh: is he going to bring anything? Somebody said Will Vest, Spencer Torkelson. I want you to think about it from an opposing general manager standpoint. How are you selling that to your owner, your players, and your base? Will Vest has struggled so much in the eighth inning this year. Flat out, he hadn't been good enough, period. Not just the eighth inning, but overall. Been too up and down. That would be a tough sell. I don't know what you'd get for him. And isn't therein lies part of the issue with this team in general? And the fact that this team doesn't have a lot of players that are going to warrant a high return outside of Skubal. And I would still argue this with Jeff Passan. Sure, it's going to cost $400 million. You think they're getting a haul. Who's got the leverage in that situation? You would think the Tigers with Tarek Skubal, right? You're the one who has the commodity. You're the one who has the player everybody wants. But if that team is Milwaukee, for example, is Milwaukee going to give up a ton of its assets knowing that it's not going to be able to afford him after this season? They're not going to be in that running. That's why you've narrowed it down to just a handful of teams. I promise I'll get to some text on the other side about 10 after the top of the hour here on X's and Bros. Brian Balaga at 8:35 here on a Tully Moore Thursday, brought to you by Meyer.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Our state is Mecca for golf, and one of Michigan's crown jewels is Tullymore and St. Ives, two world-class championship courses in one charming and beautiful location. The golf is challenging but fair. You're going to use every club in your bag. But let me tell you what makes Tullymore really special. It's the people. From the wait staff to the bartenders to the pro shop and the management, their sole purpose is to give you a memorable experience, and they do. Go to TullymoreGolf.com today and experience a Michigan masterpiece.
going to be challenging for the 126 U.S. Open at Shinnecock. It looks brutal. Golf is supposed to be enjoyed. It looks like it's going to be nearly impossible. I mean, with the wind and the rain and the fog, it looks really tough. Welcome back, X's and Bros, Monday through Friday from 6 until 9. We'll close the baseball discussion here, but I would just remind people that no matter who you get in these trades for any players, it does take time. And I know that's not easy for us to accept, nor do we want to admit it. That's why you've got guys right now in the minors who are taking a little bit longer to get to the major leagues. And the reason I bring this up is because the Phillies demoted their rookie starter, Andrew Painter, to AAA the other day. He's 1-8 with a 7 ERA. And he's considered one of the better starters, better prospects in all of baseball. So it shows you how hard it is. I was at an event last night for the Polish American Hall of Fame that is going to be taking place tonight in Troy, Michigan. David Legwand, former Nashville Predator and Red Wing. Rob Gronkowski, former Patriot, obviously, and Buccaneer. Dave Myers, who won 2 national championships at UCLA. And Brian Balaga will be honored tonight. Zach Werenski will be honored tonight. Balaga will join us at 8:35. And I was talking with some people last night, including my friend Ken Cal, the voice of the Red Wings on radio. And we were talking about Tarek Skubal being possibly traded. And I said, sure. I mean, you're going to see that. And everybody assumes it's going to be a haul, just like this cut we played with Jeff Passan. But I would remind you this, and this, just because it's happened in history doesn't mean it's going to happen again. But the automatic thinking that you're getting great players, you've got to be careful with that, because the prospect list, as good as it may be for some, how many of them are panning out? When Justin Verlander was traded to Houston, you got Daz Cameron, you got Jake Rogers, and you've got Franklin Perez. Do you think that was good value? All of them, by the way, were top 12 prospects of the Houston Astros organization. Okay? When Milwaukee traded for CC Sabathia, in 2008, they received Matt Laporta, Zach Jackson, Rob Bryson, and a player to be named later. Andy, you love baseball. Do you remember any of those players? Matt Laporta is not associated with Sam Laporta, by the way.
I can't say the first players that come to mind.
All right. When Cliff Lee was traded to the Rangers with Mark Lowe, the Mariners received Justin Smoke, Blake Bevan, Josh Luke, and Matt Lawson. Do you remember any of those players?
No.
Okay. And I do. I remember Justin Smoke.
Yeah,
right?
You know what?
Big, strong, left-handed stick,
sure.
6'4", 220 pounds. And the guy had a nice long career. Played 11 years in the majors. Hit close to 200 homers. The most home runs he ever hit in a season was 30. 38, actually. I'm sorry. But that was with Toronto in 2017. Okay? So that wasn't with the team that traded for him, the Seattle Mariners. When he was in Seattle, his career in Seattle was 5 years, and he hit 226. When Zach Greinke was traded to the Angels from the Brewers got Ariel Pena, Johnny Hallweg, and Gene Segura. David Price was traded from the Tigers to the Blue Jays. Do you remember what Detroit got? Matthew Boyd, Daniel Norris, Jairo Lambor. Was that a good trade? The only reason I say this is because those were aces at the time. And I'm not saying you're going to get the equivalent of Daniel Norris, Jairo Lambor, and Matthew Boyd. That's not my suggestion, because Tarek Skubal is the best pitcher on the planet. I'm just telling you, temper your enthusiasm when it comes to who we're getting in return, because it doesn't, just because it's an ace doesn't mean it's always coming back with ace-like prospects. You think you're getting good value. A team that's going to trade for Tarek Skubal is going to have him for 2 months. That's it. And remember, those teams oftentimes are close to getting to the finish line of a Major League Baseball playoff appearance. And they have that type of talent inside. It sure isn't within their organization the same as Tarek Skubal. I'm just trying to temper it a little bit. See, the Dylan Larkin trade situation, there's no way the Red Wings are making that move without getting an NHL player, at least one. Like they might get a player and a draft pick and a prospect, which would be great. You know, I was talking with David Legwan yesterday, and David Legwan said, you know, if you're the Red Wings, maybe you trade for a player who can help you. So Florida, for example, all right, because that's supposedly one of the destinations. And let's just say, for sake of argument, the Florida Panthers want that they're in, and they want Dylan Larkin. Okay, great. So you trade Dylan Larkin for Anton Lundell. He's a center, had 44 points last year, only 18 goals, and the number 9 pick in the draft. And then you take the number 9 draft pick and you send it to Dallas, and Dallas takes that for Jason Robertson, who's going to be a restricted free agent, I think, after this coming season. Suddenly you got Lundell and you got Robertson. You got a center and you got a left wing. That's a good trade. Maybe you can do something like that. Maybe the Tigers are thinking something along those lines. I don't know. I think it's really important that when everybody says you're going to get a haul, you've seen 4 pitchers go for aces in the past, or 4 players, I should say, go for aces in the past, and it doesn't always work out. Let me get to some texts from our good friend Freddie. How's it armchair quarterbacking when AJ preaches analytics, yet knows Vest is terrible in the 8th? Stats say it, yet he keeps doing it. Agreed. 100%. Cole Keith was given a big contract, yet keeps getting pinch hit for. A guy who continues to fall, which tells me he wants to prove everybody wrong his way. All right. How much, when you say a big contract, I'm beyond tired of this belief that Cole Keith has a big contract. I don't get it. I don't get what people are talking about. The guy is going to he's making $4.3 million. Look, it's a big contract for me. I mean, I'd love $4.3 million. He's making 4.3 this year. He's making 4.3 next year. He's going to make 5.3 the following year. After that, it's all team options. Okay? Starting in 2030, it's all team options. If the team doesn't want him for $10 million, they're not keeping him for $10 million. And that's half of what Jack Flaherty makes this year, by the way. If the team doesn't want him in 2020 or 2031 at the age of 29, it's a team option for $13 million. They don't want him, goodbye. Okay? You buy him out for $1 million. And if you don't want him at age 30 years old in 2032, then for $15 million, then the team option is say goodbye. And you buy him out for $2 million. I don't get the whole, it's such a big contract. Baseball terms, it's not. He's making 4.3. I've already given you the hundreds of players who are making more than he is. Can we get rid of that, please? It is so old. Shep, what AJ is doing this year is what Dan Campbell has done the last 2 years. Contribute to skip field goals for 4th down plays, which cost the team 2 to 3 games a year. First one in Philly. But if you watch the last game in Chicago, he kicked 3 field goals, won that game. Of course, that game didn't matter. But maybe it's Dan's way of adjusting a little bit. Look, like I said earlier, when they went 15-2 and he was going for it, you were all fired up. Last year, it didn't work out. So I get it. But I don't think Dan Campbell should change who he is. It depends on your situation, and it depends on who you have. Hopefully, he's got better talent to go for it more this year. We're back with more after this. We'll talk Lions after this on X's and Bros on a Tullymore Thursday, brought to you by Meyer.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Our state is Mecca for golf, and one of Michigan's crown jewels is Tullymore and St. Ives, two world-class championship courses in one charming and beautiful location. The golf is challenging but fair. You're going to use every club in your bag. But let me tell you what makes Tullymore really special. It's the people. From the wait staff to the bartenders to the pro shop and the management, their sole purpose is to give you a memorable experience, and they do. Go to TullymoreGolf.com today and experience a Michigan masterpiece.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at Tigers.com and MLB.com.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marks, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
just having everybody in the building, like, support, and obviously just knowing that you have a coach that will go to bat for you, like, it means everything. I mean, it was the same thing, like, when I came here and I got drafted, like Brad always said, when you come here, man, this is a family. And this is, like, the building, the type of place that you want to be in. And, like, a lot of guys will reach that, but honestly, like, this place feels like home.
That's Terrion Arnold for a guy who is much as expected, and rightfully so. I would argue, well, Keith Abney on one side, I guess in an effort for this team to be truly successful on the defensive side of the ball, you need more than Terrion Arnold, obviously. Pass rush is going to be huge. Aleem McNeil's return and healthy return, vital. Progress from Tyleik Williams, absolutely. How quickly can Jimmy Rolder be effective as a fourth-round draft pick? But Terrion Arnold, you use a first-round draft pick on a cover corner guy, and you insert him into that starting lineup pretty quick in his career. He needs to make a big step. He needs to stay healthy, but he needs to make a really big step this season for this Lions team to have, I would consider it, a successful season. You can replace him, but my issue is that you've used a first-round pick on him, and it's tough to overcome that. What's the best and worst case scenario for the Lions? I was reading an article about this the other day. The best and worst case scenarios for every NFL team in 2026. This is via CBSSports.com. Anything the NFL, anytime you're writing about the NFL with something like that, it's going to be pretty damn good. For me, what's the best case? Well, it's obvious. It's doing what they did a couple of years ago. Not necessarily the 15-2, but winning the division, which I think they should win the division. I was talking with Brian Balaga last night, and he'll join us at 8:35, and he said, I really first of all, he loves Dan Campbell. Second of all, he really likes what Detroit's got. More and more national analysts are coming out and talking about the way the Lions have been put together, all right? The depth of what the Lions have right now. So really, really important in that regard. On top of that, he was talking about the talent in general that the team has and the identification that the team has. This team needs to be identified the way it was a couple of years ago in the trenches. Now, he's a former offensive lineman, so he's going to gravitate toward that. But you and I both know a couple of years ago when this team was identified as maulers, as the best part of the team is up front, then, of course, you want to get back there because it brings back great memories. But they're also much deeper, much, much deeper than they've been in a long time. They have, if you think about it, they've got guys at depth positions who have been starters in this league for a long time. I think that's really important. And that's another reason why I think this team is going to be very good if they can stay healthy. But Terrion Arnold, whether he feels like it's family or not, I don't care. Here's what I want. And I know chemistry is important. I'm not saying it isn't. I want this guy to have learned from what the past mistakes. And I want him to be as good a cover corner as Detroit has had in a long time. Asking him to be Darius Slay might be a little much. Darius Slay was a second-round draft pick out of Mississippi State, as I'm sure you know. But I don't think it's too far-fetched to expect that. When you use a first-round pick on a guy, that's it. So that's, for me, best-case scenario, this team wins the division, gets home field, and plays in the NFC Championship game. There's nothing wrong. I've said it for the last 2 years. This will be 3 years in a row. I expect this team to go to the Super Bowl. I know that sounds odd, and some people are shaking their head right now because they believe in other teams within the division. Chicago's the defending champion. Well, Detroit was dethroned. Minnesota's going to be better with Kyler Murray. How much better did Kyler Murray make Arizona? And Minnesota lost some talent on defense. I like the Green Bay Packers. Talking with Balaga last night, he's like, and he's close to it. He knows Matt LaFleur. He played for Matt LaFleur. He knows all the coaches. He's like, I'm a little worried about their offensive line. I think Detroit is the most complete team. Terrion Arnold's a big part of that.
He is, absolutely.
So that's the base case. That for me, that's the best case scenario. There are certain teams, Andy, you know this. They can talk about Super Bowl. There's no way they are Super Bowl capable.
Sure.
The Lions are one of those teams that is Super Bowl capable.
Yeah, you're going to need Terry and Arnold to play to that kind of level if you're going to get to those kind of heights. That's for sure. I think his comments about them being family and stuff, that says they still believe in him. That's for sure. Seems like he's still in a pretty good place if he's making those kind of comments. Like he doesn't feel like he's about to lose his job right now or anything like that.
Yeah, I doubt many players would be telling us if they're worried about losing their job anyway. You don't find many professional athletes talk that way. But what this team needs from him, besides the health aspect and the cut down in penalties, is his ability within this division, because of the wide receivers in the division, primarily Chicago and Minnesota, is the ability to lock guys down. Plain and simple. If he comes up and misses a tackle or two, okay. I want him to be a lockdown corner.
I think you need it.
I want him to be, if Quinyon Mitchell can come in and be effective, if Cooper DeJean can come in and be effective, I want Terry Arnold to make the quote unquote next step at being a borderline Pro Bowl cornerback. I don't think that's too much to ask.
No, with all the questions you have with your safeties right now, I mean, you pretty much have to have him play that well. I think.
I would think so. And then I think to myself, yeah, but I mean, if DJ Reed's really good and Keith Abney's as good as people think he's going to be, then maybe you don't have to be. Here's the margin for error for Detroit at each cornerback spot is so small because Reed didn't play well last year and Arnold hasn't been as good as we thought he could be. So that's the best case scenario. What's the worst case scenario for the Lions? And you can be realistic here. Missing the playoffs is the worst case scenario. I don't think this team is going to be below 500. Okay. They're not going to be a 6-11 team. They're too good. I suppose an injury to Jared Goff might be worst case scenario because this team is totally screwed without a quarterback or without that quarterback. So they don't have another quarterback similar to that who can get it. Don't give me Altmaier. So for CBS, here's what CBS wrote. Best case scenario, after a down year in 2025, Lions get right back into the thick of the Super Bowl conversation. Okay. The secondary returns healthy after an injury-riddled campaign, while the offense hums with Jahmyr Gibbs playing at an offensive player of the year level. That's fine. I love that they're willing to go out there and make certain predictions. I don't care about individual accomplishments. Those things will come with team success. I mean, look at the situation right now with the Tigers. Kevin McGonigal is the rookie of the year. He's not getting all-star votes. If his team were in first place, he would be. Anyway, worst case scenario. Getting more anyway. Worst case scenario, CBS Sports. The arrow continues to point in the wrong direction in the Motor City. Okay. Jared Goff starts to look like a quarterback entering the latter stages of his career, and the hiring of offensive coordinator Drew Petzing doesn't result in any substantial improvements. The defense, again, ranks in the bottom half of the league in key categories, and the Lions missed the playoffs for a second straight year, begging the question on whether their window has closed entirely. I'm never going to be able to run away from that, unfortunately. The whole window stuff, which just drives me absolutely insane, because we just don't learn, because we're just so caught up in certain cliches. We're so caught up in what is a preset mindset to overlook what other franchises have done. Great franchises don't have windows. Now, I'm not saying Detroit's a great franchise. I'm saying Detroit has to move that way. Again, my conversation last night with a former Super Bowl champ, he said when he was at Iowa, look, you get 9 wins, you're in contention for a Big Ten title, you go to a big bowl game, people there are pretty happy. I go to Green Bay, what happens? Hey man, we expect the playoffs are a given. We expect to be Super Bowl contenders. And playing with certain guys like Aaron Rodgers, that mindset was there for them. I think things have changed drastically. And we were talking about, you can understand why Green Bay would have that mindset. Look who's in the division. It's not like Minnesota was great. It's not like the Bears were great. And it's not like the Lions were much of a threat. The Lions used to be one of those situations where if you're a player, I don't want to go there. That's one place I don't want to play. Now, I think players do want to play in Detroit for a lot of different reasons. Here's Dan Campbell on his excitement for what he's been able to witness so far in OTAs.
Yeah, I'm excited. I am. I feel really good about where we're at right now. Knowing what we're getting into 6 weeks from now, I feel really good. I feel great about the staff, and I feel like we have the right type of players that we're going to need to rely on. And the surrounding spots, positions, areas, man, we've got some really good competition. I mean, some of the best we've had since I've been here in different areas.
That's what gets a lot of coaches fired up when it comes to that stuff.
And
when you have a depth chart I'm not talking about Luke Altmaier as your third string quarterback. Okay. I'm talking about on the defensive side of the ball, when you have depth that allows you, like nobody talks about Levi Onzuwerke, do they? We talk about Tyreek Williams. We talk about Aleem McNeil. How many people bring up DJ Wanham? DJ Wanham has started a lot of games in the National Football League. Malcolm Rodriguez, not a starter. Maybe he is. I don't know. We'll see how between him and Jimmy Rolder. But that's a good backup guy to have, isn't it?
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got guys. Chuck Clark is an important piece. He's got some starts under his belt. Roger McCreary, I don't know if he's a starter or not. He could be the starting nickel. He's got starts under his belt. This is where this team, same thing on the offensive line. When you go to the offensive line, Juice Scruggs, I know it doesn't make you want to go grab and buy a poster and put it on your wall, but he's got starts under his belt. When you see other players, Ben Barch comes in, been a starter in this league. It's valuable. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think when Dan makes those comments, a lot of people like to believe that he's one of the more honest people, right? When he talks about that kind of stuff. And I think when he first came here, he wasn't like saying that this is the best room he's ever had or whatever, right? He was pretty straightforward about what they had at the time, so he probably means it, and I think he has a reason to back it up because it does seem like they've added a lot of depth at a lot of positions, and there's a lot to pick from. It feels like.
Yeah, it's a really good spot to be in. And I don't think Dan Campbell, what I like most about him is I think he's a genuine dude.
100%.
I don't think he's worn out. He doesn't say things just to say them. There's a lot of guys who get up there and give you the rah-rah speech because they feel like that's part of their job as a coach, is to energize the fan base, show his team how much he believes in them, and so on and so forth.
I mean, they got to back it up this year. Like they got to have a better record than they did last year, right? But I mean, a lot of people can fall into this time of the year to, believing that your team is, one of the best ones because you read a lot of preseason headlines and stuff. I don't think that's why he's saying what he's saying. I think he actually believes that this team is in a good spot right now.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I don't think they would be they're not going to be one of those teams that suddenly is the biggest surprise in the NFL. All right? Like I don't know if you saw what Joe Burrow said yesterday, but Joe Burrow said that the Bengals this year reminds him a little bit of his 2019 season at LSU. He said, you go back and watch what I said before the 19 season at LSU. I feel very similarly about this team. So excited to get started, get moving. I wish we ramped this into training camp right now so we can continue to improve. I feel like there's so much greatness we'll be able to achieve this year, and I'm just excited to get it going. He may truly feel that way, and I'll give him credit for showing that as a quote-unquote leader. That would be a massive surprise. For most people, I think that would be a massive surprise if you saw a team like Cincinnati get to the Super Bowl or get to the AFC Championship.
I think everybody's, in a way, it's like everybody's kind of been waiting for him to get back, since he made it. So I wouldn't say it's impossible, but with the way their defense has been over the past how many years now, it's hard to imagine. But that's that's the thing with me still for the Lions. I still want to see more from the defense. That's where I pause a little bit on some things.
Yeah, I'm sure Joe Burrow. I'm sure a big reason Joe Burrow said what he said is because of the acquisition of Dexter Lawrence.
Yep, 100%.
that has to be a huge part of it. For the Lions, I think it's a little different. I don't think the Lions, first of all, I don't think there's no way the Lions would be a team that if they reached that level, NFC Championship game or Super Bowl, that people would be so totally surprised. Most people think the Rams are going there if they stay healthy. But the Lions, if you said the Lions right now, that wouldn't be a huge surprise.
No, there's definitely been enough people, even nationally, give them credit.
Yeah, right. But when you got the AFC, when you have teams like Kansas City with Mahomes coming back, like Buffalo waiting for Josh Allen, many people in Buffalo probably are saying it's got to be, it's the Kenny Loggins song. This is it. It's got to happen this year. Baltimore, they might be saying the same thing about Lamar Jackson. This is it. This is the year for him to do something. People in Jacksonville have high expectations. There are certain teams, I think you can agree with this, there are certain teams in the National Football League, their expectations, their expectations going into the season this year are going to be a lot higher than others. New England has a much higher expectation than the Jets or the Dolphins. So Cincinnati doing that would be a bit of a surprise. The Lions, not so much. The Lions guarantee, whatever betting says, I don't care what Soaring Eagle and Casino says, that Detroit is one of the teams in the NFC that will be reckoned with. I don't think there's anybody in the NFC South, but Seattle earns it because of what they did a year ago. A defending champion deserves to be, part of that discussion if most of their team remains intact. The Rams, because of what they've done so far, especially the Myles Garrett acquisition, but because of what they've done in the offseason, right? They've built a lot of things up. Philadelphia, because of their pedigree, but the Lions are in that conversation. And I think that is, we're living in an era right now where we are just not used to saying that. We're just not used to seeing this over and over and over again. And we've seen it each of the last 3 years, that this is a team that everybody feels like needs to be reckoned with. That is so refreshing to be able to talk about. They haven't accomplished what we think they should have accomplished. I get that. And there's things that Dan Campbell still has to prove to many, right? A lot of people don't like that he's gone for it for fourth down. They feel like he's blown games. He's also won them a lot of games. When you have that type of attitude, when you are willing to play that type of risky game, there's going to be rewards, and you're going to, let's use a poker term, you're going to bust sometimes. You have to understand that. So I take it, the good with the bad. I don't always agree with him going for it on fourth down, but I also understand and I accept, and I quite honestly embrace who he is. I would expect that a little bit more this year because of what this team and how this team is built more than anything else. They have suspended play at the 126 U.S. Open because of the fog. Do you like courses that play this hard? We'll talk about that when we come back here on X's and Bros as we begin the third hour here on a Tullymore Thursday, brought to you by Meyer.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3?
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org. Coming up later today at 3 on The Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
And then Jared, being in the room with Jared, he's phenomenal. And he's one of those guys that I've had a ton of respect for from the outside. And I think, you look at him, this guy's like a sniper. He's into it. He's got great command in the huddle at the line of scrimmage. He's so accurate. I didn't really realize how accurate he was still being out here and seeing the anticipation, the velocity, the timing, the ball placement, all those things that go into the pass game. And watch him operate. It's been really impressive.
It's Mike Kafka. He is the passing coordinator for the Detroit Lions. I don't know how that works. I'm always fascinated by that. Welcome, final hour of X's and Bros here throughout the state of Michigan. Glad you're with us on a Tullymore Thursday. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Offensive coordinator Drew Petzing. The thing that fascinates me most about football in general is the communication between head coach, OC, running backs coach, tight ends coach, wide receivers coach, passing coordinator, running coordinator.
So many guys on that side.
Right? Yeah. So Hank Fraley's the offensive line coach. He's also the running coordinator. Mike Kafka's the passing coordinator, yet you got an offensive coordinator. How they decide on who calls what play in what situation. Feedback from everything. It's got to be quick. It's got to be concise. Otherwise, you're in deep trouble. It's a really good soundbite from Mike Kafka, who probably now appreciates Jared Goff a lot more, as he said, than he ever did before. Andy, how much are you gleaning from a guy in shorts and a T-shirt during this stuff? I don't know. But
I know, yeah.
And it goes to show you, too, because he's been involved in the Giants and involved in so many other situations with his team. How often are these guys watching other players in the league play the positions they coach? The reason I say that, Mike Kafka, while interim head coach of the Giants, offensive coordinator for the Giants, he's watching defenses. He's scouting other teams' defenses, right? Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, I mean,
he's trying to get his team ready. What does he got to do? He's got to get them ready for a defense.
I'd imagine these guys, the only time they really get the chance to watch, like, a game in specific or other players be when they're on like prime time and like say they're not on Monday Night Football, they could probably watch a Monday Night Football game or something like that. But yeah, otherwise they really have time. I hate to tell
people this. I hate to tell you, and yes, I agree with that. They're not watching Monday Night Football more. They're breaking down film.
Yeah, sure. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've got on Mondays, your team comes in the National Football League, your team comes in and they do through a little bit of a walkthrough about what they did right and wrong from Sunday's game. Tuesday's a mandatory day off. Wednesday, your game plan is implemented. You only have a few days to get it implemented. Because Saturday, when you travel to wherever, Chicago, you land, you're going over film. You may walk through some things at the hotel. Not very often. But you're watching film. You're not practicing. Your practice sessions are Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. There's no time for you to lose. So what are you doing? And as the season gets older, by the way, as it grows, you're not as physical, obviously. You're leaving Taylor Decker, you're giving him, and I know he doesn't play for him anymore, but guys like that, they're getting the day off. So you have to have your game plan instituted by Wednesday. I don't think they're sitting back and saying, honey, I'll take my dessert out here in the family room. I'm going to watch Seattle and the Rams play on Monday Night Football. I can't wait for Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. What are they going to see in the open? No. They're breaking down all the tendencies of the team they're about to play because on Wednesday, they've got to be able to hit the ground running. And probably on Tuesday, they're sending it through the iPads to their players. So I don't think they're sitting back. It's the same thing in college. Pat Fitzgerald at Michigan State is not kicking back on Saturday going, oh, man, what a win for us Friday night. That was awesome. Honey, let's watch Iowa and Penn State clash. This is going to be great. No, they don't have time for that stuff. You and I have time for it because we want to win our fantasy football leagues. We want to get a gauge on who's going to face how good that team is going to face. They're going to be when they face the team that is our favorite team. But it doesn't. I don't think it happens at the NFL level. And not to mention the fact that a lot of these guys, they want to get the hell out of there. They watch enough football. When you watch enough football film like these guys do, then live it every single day. Do you think you want to go home and watch more football? Probably not. You probably want a little bit of a break. Although they might catch a play or two where that says, you know what, that would be a good thing for us to run. I got an idea. Let's do the Penei Sewell pass catch down the right sideline. That's a good idea. Shep, didn't Dan say the same stuff last year when he hired John Morton and at the beginning of OTAs? I don't remember that. It's via text. I don't remember. Maybe. I'll trust your recollection more than mine. Maybe he did say that. What's wrong with it? Now you're never going to believe what he says? Because he said it about a guy he hired and the enthusiasm he gained from that moment, you think it means less if he says it this year? There's a lot of general managers out there that on a regular basis are saying, you know what, I love this draft pick, and then they end up trading them after a few years. Oh, and by the way, there are a lot of fans who maybe a week ago were saying, we just beat Tampa. We're the Tiger fan base. We just beat Tampa. We swept them. How great is this? We're back, baby. LFG, right? He may have said that. I was not a big fan of the John Morton. I wasn't a big fan of the Drew Petzing either, and I hope I'm wrong there. If my coach isn't excited, isn't enthused with what he's got, how do you feel? Maybe you don't believe him. That's fine. That's
you're not going to feel good. Yeah, it's kind of.
So Dan Campbell gets in front of the microphone, and people ask him, "What's your takeaway in the OTAs?" And Dan says, "I'm really concerned, man. I don't like what's going on here at all. We've got.
I think that would be a problem. I think people would be a little concerned.
That'd be a serious problem.
It makes me laugh because it's ridiculous. You're never going to see somebody coming out this time of the year and say that. There's no way.
Yeah. And somebody might say, "Well, then just don't say anything at all." Oh, okay. So if he
so then he doesn't talk.
Then you know what you as a fan are saying? Well, he's not saying much. That's a guy that has me concerned. I'm going to read between the lines and think that he's not saying. I want my guy to be enthused. I want him to be honest. And he probably is honest.
You can still say like
this is how he truly feels about this team. Good for him.
You can still say your team needs work or something like that, and do it in a way where you're not just like completely, down.
And he said that.
Yeah, exactly.
Does he not?
Exactly.
When he was talking about Christian Mahogany, I think we played the soundbite, but he was talking about Christian Mahogany. Look, that's the reason we picked up Barch. We still have Miles Frazier. It's going to be a competition. And he mentioned the competition. You know what? When a coach says we've got competition, that means there is no specific player locked into that one spot. That's a good thing. You can have competition and be unsure of who your starter is because you want them to earn it and still be excited about your team in general, can't you? Shep, there comes a point in time for many Lions fans that you're tired of the talk, just get it done and win the Super Bowl. Okay? So you don't want them ever to talk to the media. Dan Campbell takes the podium. I'm not talking today. So if he doesn't talk, then you're pissed because he's got an attitude. Elaine Bennis, you've got an attitude, or he can't be excited about his team. He's got to be deadpanned the whole time. He is Bill Belichick. And your response would be, I'd take Bill Belichick because that means I'd have Super Bowls. Me too. You're not going to change who the guy is. He's Dan Campbell. He's going to be excited. You should accept that and understand that going in. So you don't have to believe him all the time. I get that. But there are worse characteristics in a head coach in anything than being super excited about your team. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. Text us, Sports Radio 21000. Join us in the chat as we stream live on X, Facebook, and on YouTube on a Tullymore Thursday brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
In the den. It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. It's amazing how quickly the baseball season can go. The Tigers are 74 games deep into the season and scuffling in just about every aspect of the game. Nothing has been reliable. And that's pretty evident when you're 14 games under 500, 9.5 back in the division, and 6.5 back in the wild card. It's not hyperbole to think this homestand that begins Friday night is the last chance for them to make a strong push. The next 10 games at Comerica Park features the division-leading White Sox. Then it's the Yankees, who own the American League's best record, are in for 3. And finally, the Astros, who just beat the Tigers 2 out of 3. The good news for Detroit is the rotation, the starting rotation anyway, against the White Sox. It'll be Tarek Skubal tomorrow night, followed by Troy Melton and Justin Verlander Sunday, who makes his first Comerica Park start as a Tiger since 2017.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Coming up later today at 3 on The Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
After the hour, welcome back. Brian Balaga joins us bottom of the hour. Looking forward to that for sure. He gets honored tonight in the Polish American Sports Hall of Fame in Troy, which is great. David Legwan, same thing. David Legwan, along with Rob Gronkowski and David Myers. Legwan, the Detroiter, who still lives here, played for the Nashville Predators, played a little bit for the Red Wings. We were talking hockey a little bit last night at an event, and we brought up the fact that Las Vegas had, I mean, you talk about toughness. I mean, the hockey toughness is crazy. Carlson had surgery on a broken wrist. Hannafin had an upper body injury that they say would have forced him to miss about a month and a half to 2 months during the regular season. McNabb had 3 injuries that would have kept him out of the lineup in the regular season as well. Mark Stone, who's the captain of Las Vegas, reportedly played the final series with a dislocated thumb, a torn pectoral muscle. You know what that's like? To tear your
I don't know what
pec.
it's like. I can't imagine it feels good. That's for sure.
He played with 4 cracked ribs.
Definitely don't know what that's like.
Yeah. And some bad ankles.
Sounds undoable.
Yeah.
Really.
I think the cracked ribs, it might be a little bit of a stretch there. But he did have for sure the toughness aspect was evident because he played with a torn abductor. That's absolutely nuts. The other stuff might be a little hyperbole. Okay, they might be just saying that in jest, but based on an NHL account, he did have a torn abductor, which just sounds incredibly painful. I was watching a little golf earlier this morning. I'm wondering, and I love golf. Andy loves golf. I think there's a lot of people out there who love it. I was at Boyne yesterday for the Epsom tournament that begins tomorrow, and I can't even tell you how badly I wanted to run out there and play those courses. They're just gorgeous.
Can't imagine, man.
It's
like
awesome.
The next 4 days for me at Blythefield, all I can think about is like the time I do get to play it before the tournament starts. I just wish I was out there. You know?
Yeah, me too. Even though you'd leave shaking your head.
Oh gosh, can't imagine.
At Shinnecock, Harry Higgs is playing the 10th hole, and the 10th hole for him is the first hole because you have guys going off the front and the back. That's how they stagger him. He's got an approach shot, a second shot from about 97 yards. Okay. You and I'd probably use a gap wedge. Fair, Andy? Something like that?
Yeah.
That's why I thought it was fun yesterday having that conversation with Sarah White.
Yep. You can listen to that too, by the way. Put that out
Yeah.
there. So.
Yeah. You put that on a podcast, and I really appreciate it. But we asked her, how far do you hit each club? Like, don't tell me you're not nodding along and saying thinking about how.
Oh,
far
100%. I was the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time. So when she said I hit my 3-wood 245, what did you say? Because I said holy blank.
Yeah, that's not me. That's for sure.
That's definitely not me.
I mean, I only hit like a hybrid for the most part in the fairways. I think it's a 5 hybrid, but I probably overswing, that's why I duff it sometimes and stuff like that. But I mean, if I get it to like 200, I'm happy with it. So
oh yeah, exactly. And hit it straight. That's all I really.
That's the other part.
So it was a lot of fun talking with her there at Boyne. Well, the welcome to Shinnecock moment, and they said this during the USA broadcast, so I don't want to steal their thunder. That was the Harry Higgs from 97 yards out. He chips it to I don't know if you saw it, probably 12 feet, 12 to 15 feet. It can't hold, and it rolls down. I would say 60 yards away from the pin. He just used up a shot that basically went 40 yards. Do you enjoy courses that are that difficult? I don't know if you remember this, but yesterday when we were at Boyne, we talked with, their bigwig, their executive vice president, Sean Richter. And we asked him, are you tricking this course up because you've got a major event here? He's like, no, We're not doing that. Everybody waters their greens. Everybody's going to make the greens a little bit faster. That's human nature. But the course itself, what they're doing to Shinnecock is borderline obscene when it comes to golf and how hard it is. It's already a hard golf course. I gave you the numbers yesterday. It's hosted the U.S. Open 4 times in the last 100 years. 520 different players have played in those events. Only 3 have finished level par or better. I'm not even saying in the red, level par or better. Ray Floyd, a -1 in 1986. Phil Mickelson shot 2 under in 2004 and finished as a runner-up to Retief Goosen, who in that same year finished 4 under par.
I mean, I'm sure they want to play it because I'm sure, as a competitor and an athlete, like you want to play the toughest. Yeah, you want the toughest course, but it does get to a point where it's ridiculous. I'm sure you saw the video of Bryson DeChambeau trying to hit out of the rough. Yeah, that's insane. I mean,
he drops his ball. In case people didn't see it, he just drops it. He goes up to give you a demonstration. He wants to show you how difficult it is. He drops his ball. You can't see the ball. You can't find it. And then he hits it out of there, and it advances what? 8 yards?
Yeah.
Maybe? Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's how thick it is. And those guys are super strong.
Right, exactly.
Players to finish in the top 25 in each of the last 4 men's majors. There are 4 names. You know your golf. Give them to me.
Sorry, what was the question again? Missed the first part of that.
Players to finish in the top 25 in the last 4 majors.
They finished in the top 25 in every single one, you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Rory?
Rory's one of them. One is obvious.
Scotty Scheffler.
Right.
Yeah.
There's 2.
I wasn't even thinking
I'll be
on
stunned.
that line.
I wouldn't be surprised if you get another one. But
Ludwig?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, you love Ludwig Obert, don't you?
I know. I really don't. But
he's not. Xander Schauffele. Xander Schauffele's another. And Chris Gotterup.
Okay. Yeah,
last.
that's he did have a really good. And I watched the full swing thing on Netflix. That thinking back to that shouldn't surprise me because he had a pretty good year last year.
Yeah, he did. But still, I wouldn't have.
I wouldn't have guessed it. That's for sure. No, Ludwig Over. One of my friends does love him, so he lives in my head constantly. I feel like he's always doing good when I don't. Yeah,
it sounds like it. Let's get to the final results of the poll question from yesterday. What would be the most important thing in Detroit sports? Trading Tarek Skubal, trading Dylan Larkin, extending Jalen Duren, or getting Branch and Joseph healthy for the Lions? How did people vote?
So honestly, it's kind of surprised me a little bit. Branch and Joseph led the way at 57%. So
wow.
I don't know if people are just more invested in the Lions or they're ready to turn the page to the Lions or what that is, but Skubal was 29% second. Larkin was 14%. Doesn't really surprise me that Duren didn't get any.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I hesitated putting that on there. All right, we appreciate it very much. Our other Mitch Lineswell poll question for today: who do you blame most for the Tigers' struggles? Harris, Hinch, or the players? Vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. Andy's tweeted it out there. I've retweeted it, and we will give you the results tomorrow. How did your daily wager fare yesterday? Brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
It did work out. Sandy Alcantara, I had getting 6 strikeouts. He got 6 strikeouts on the dot. So and that was plus 148. So that was really good value if you made a straight bet.
Very good.
That's one of those ones that you want.
Good job.
I know you're going to shake your head at this, but today I am going back to soccer. I'm going to go with this first game of the day. You want something early at noon? I'm going to go with the draw in the Czech Republic versus South Africa game. So I've been looking at stats. Trust me, that's it. This game is pretty evenly matched. I think that it's going to end in a draw. So
you're going with a draw.
That's what I mean. This is what you have to bet on in soccer. It's like shots on goal, and I'm just trying to give you something different today, so it's not just baseball every day. But I from what I've looked at and everything I've been reading this morning, trying to find something to do in the World Cup because there is 4 games today. A lot of people like the draw in that first game. So,
quick quiz: there were 5 games yesterday. Give me one team that won.
One team that won. Ghana, I'm pretty sure won yesterday. Right.
Okay. Ghana did win.
I think that was
1-0 over Panama. You like the nil? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Colombia, Ghana, England, and Austria all won. Portugal and Congo tied at 1. All right, there you go. That's as much soccer as I'm ever going to talk, only because you did the daily wager.
I'm going to bring it in every now and again. I'm sorry to do it to you, but
Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort and their sports.
Hey, the last one was right. That's all I'm saying too.
Yeah, I give you credit. When we come back, we hope to get it right with Brian Balaga. He joins us as one of the newest members of the Polish American Sports Hall of Fame there in Troy, Michigan. He joins us on the other side on X's and Bros. Stay with us.
Hey, West Michigan, Mitch Lyons here. You've heard about our support of Tiger legend Kirk Gibson's fight against Parkinson's disease. Now we have a local opportunity to support West Michigan families affected by Parkinson's too. The first annual Drive Out Parkinson's Golf event presented by the Grady's Parkinson's Promise will be held Monday, June 29th at Watermark Country Club. And while the golf is at full capacity, you still have a chance to help support the cause. Mitch Lyons Wealth is the title sponsor, and we'd love to have others join us. If your business would like to support and be represented at the outing, or if you would like to contribute personally, it's easy to do by joining our team today. Just go to birdease.com, that's BIRDEASE.com/Drive Out Parkinson's to sign up for sponsorship packages or donate today. X's and Bros and the Huge Show will both do their shows live from the course, and Shep and Huge are playing in the event. Join us in supporting this great cause. A portion of the proceeds will go to Gibby Center, and the rest will support local families. Go to birdease.com/Drive Out Parkinson's or contact me at MitchLyonsWealth.com for more info.
Our state is Mecca for golf, and one of Michigan's crown jewels is Tullymore and St. Ives, two world-class championship courses in one charming and beautiful location. The golf is challenging but fair. You're going to use every club in your bag. But let me tell you what makes Tullymore really special. It's the people. From the wait staff to the bartenders to the pro shop and the management, their sole purpose is to give you a memorable experience, and they do. Go to TullymoreGolf.com today and experience a Michigan masterpiece.
Tonight is truly one of the better nights of the year, and I mean that sincerely. I've been fortunate to be a very small part of the Polish American National Sports Hall of Fame. It's in Troy. If you've never been there, I would strongly encourage you to go. It is special. It really is. What makes it special are the people, but also the inductees. 4 inductees in one of the more impressive classes you will find, and it'll take place tonight. Brian Balaga is one of them. Proud Polish heritage there through his family, and a hell of a player. He was an All-American at Iowa, and he was a Super Bowl champion with the Green Bay Packers, and he joins us here on X's and Bros. Had a chance to talk with Brian a little bit last night. His beautiful wife, Abby, and their 2 wonderful kids, Declan and his daughter, Cameron, who I believe turns 9 tomorrow. So congratulations and a happy birthday to her. You can tell a lot. I'll say this tonight, too, at the event. You can tell a lot about parents or people with the way their kids act. Last night, when a room full of adults, Declan and Cameron were fantastic, engaging, so polite, and so well done. So Brian and Abby, probably more Abby than Brian, have done a wonderful job as parents. Brian, we appreciate it very much. What's the honor mean to you tonight?
It's good being on this morning. Good morning. This to me, it means a lot. Obviously, when I got the call from Paul at the Hall of Fame, I was, very humbled and honored by it, obviously. And then you start looking at the list and the names of the people that are in the Polish American Hall of Fame, and you can't help but just kind of be completely humbled, because there's some enormous names on the list that are in this Hall of Fame. And to me, growing up in a very Polish household, and then my grandparents and aunts and uncles, and the traditions and the food and everything that I experienced as a young kid, to now, obviously, not just, I understand that this is athletics, but it's more than that. It's about your culture and heritage, and to have both those things combined together and be honored for that, it means quite a lot to me. And it's obviously something that I'm very excited about, getting there tonight and listening to, seeing everybody, talking to people, and kind of just taking everything in. So I'm very excited and humbled and honored by it.
Well, you should be honored. It's well deserved. As a kid growing up playing on the youth fields of Crystal Lake, Illinois, what was the dream for young Brian Balaga at the time?
That's funny. I remember, especially when I was in high school, and probably my junior year, I started to get some attention from smaller schools, like the NIUs, the MAC conference schools. And I remember my dad, he was kind of like, "Hey, this would be fantastic. You'll get to play college football. Maybe you don't play. Maybe you never play, and but you get a free education for 4 or 5 years, and then you get out of college and get a great job." There was never the thought process of, hey, maybe this can go further. But then my junior year went on, and I played really well, and then bigger schools started to offer scholarships, and my dad was like, "Well, maybe you can play Big Ten football." It was the Iowa, the Michigan States, the Notre Dames, the Wisconsins, and the Oklahomas, and then the mindset started to change a little bit once those things started to happen. But as a young kid, I just loved playing sports. It was just, was it basketball? Was it football? Was it baseball? It didn't really matter at that point. Whatever I could do outside and just play is what I loved. And obviously, once you get to a certain age, high school or whatever that may be, your dreams grow a little bit, and you would love to play in the NFL or the NBA or whatever it may be, the MLB. But none of that really even became a reality to me until I actually got to Iowa, and I started as a freshman, and it was kind of like, wow, I'm not half bad at this. And that was my first year playing offensive line ever, was my freshman year at Iowa. So I had never really done the job until I got to Iowa. So that was kind of when it set in that, maybe I can get good at this and make something out of this.
What was that transition like? Because you played tight end in high school and defensive end, I believe. Then Kirk Ferentz decides you're going to be You're going to be an offensive lineman. You're going to be a tackle for us. How did you take that? How much did it get used to? And what was the biggest adjustment for you, whether it be learning a playbook from that regard or putting on weight or whatever?
Yeah, I think it was something that I was willing to accept early on in the recruiting process, especially from Iowa, because from all different schools, when you get recruited, you get told a lot of different things. Oh, we like you as a defensive lineman, or we'll let you play tight end. And then, every school has their own pitch. And then Iowa, from the get-go, almost jumpstart, they're like, yeah, you're going to play tackle. And my dad and I were a little taken back by that, because at the time, my junior year, I was 240 pounds. I was a bigger kid, obviously, but I'd never played offensive line. I was like, we kind of looked at him like, really? And they were like, oh yeah, you're going to move to offensive line. And I accepted that because of how much I trusted Kirk Ferentz and Chris Doyle, the strength coach, and Reese Morgan, the offensive line coach, and kind of their pedigree of developing offensive linemen and getting them in to the NFL. So I was willing to trust and accept kind of their guidance on that. And, once I got to Iowa that summer before my freshman year, it was putting on weight. That was the hardest thing. I think I walked on campus that summer at 260, 265-ish. Mm-hmm. And by the time that's, to go home for summer break before training camp started, they had me up to 290, 295, just from eating properly and different exercises and weightlifting and just all the nutrition that I had no idea what I was doing in high school. But once I got there, they really dialed it in. And then obviously from a playing standpoint, actually playing football, which is the most important thing, it was speed and strength adjustments, like how to actually, the techniques and the fundamentals, those all came as you got taught. You saw it on film and studied yourself and did things like that. But on the field, it was adjusting to the size and speed of Big Ten defensive linemen. And that was a little bit of an eye opener early in training camp for me. Like, oh my gosh, like I don't know exactly what I'm doing out here. I'm kind of winging it, but at the same time, I have size, I have, strength and all those things, but these guys are on a different level. And that's what took me probably the longest to adjust to, was matching the technique, then dealing with guys' size and speed that you just don't see in high school. And you jump to college. Maybe if it wasn't a blue moon, you go against a guy that's a freak in high school. But it's not every week. And once you're in the Big Ten and playing at that level, you see it week after week.
He'll be part of the class tonight, the National Polish American Hall of Fame in Troy. Brian Balaga, a Super Bowl champion, joining us here on X's and Bros on this Tullymore Thursday. When you win the Super Bowl against the Pittsburgh Steelers as a wild card, you were usually a left tackle, but they moved you to right. First of all, how often do you reflect on that season and those moments in that season? And how has that reflection helped you do a lot of things in everyday life?
Yeah, I think now that I'm certainly, that I'm retired, I'm out of the game, I do more watching now, which I enjoy doing, and really, studying the game a different way. I have a lot of time to kind of look back on that and realize that, when I got switched to right tackle, that whole training camp going into that season, my rookie year, I'd only really taken left tackle reps. I took some left guard reps, but mostly left tackle reps to take reps off of Chad Clifton, who was the, veteran stalwart left tackle that had been there forever. And Mark Tauscher was the right tackle. And so I was just biding my time. I was getting to adjust to the NFL and learn the playbook and things like that. And then when Tausch got hurt, probably week 3 against the Detroit Lions, and I got a call and said, from my own line coach, said, you're playing right tackle. It was kind of like turn the world upside down. And now here you go. You're going to go play a position that you've never played before and go do it at the highest level. And week 1 matchup was actually in Washington against Brian Arakpo. So like that was my welcome to the NFL. You're a starter now, and you get to do that position you've never done it against. At that time, Arakpo, he was in his second year, but I think he was defensive rookie of the year or something like that the year prior. I forgot exactly what it is, but he was really good. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to adjust to that, to the switch and the mechanics of it, flipping the playbook around in my head and things like that. And it wasn't until we got to maybe towards the end of the season, as we got closer to the playoffs and we had to really buckle down and win to actually get into the playoffs is when I started to open my eyes to what was going on in the season, right? Like how we were accomplishing something special at that point in time. And we went on that run and then got into the playoffs and beat the Eagles, beat the Falcons, beat the Bears to get to the Super Bowl. And obviously once you get to the Super Bowl, it's 50-50 who's going to win. That's the whole point of the Super Bowl. It's two great teams going at it. So it was just one of those things that, that whole season of kind of pushing through some ups and downs. And that's certainly what it was that season. I had some great moments. And early on when I started playing the position, had some bad moments. There's no doubt I was adjusting to just not being a rookie in the NFL, but a new position. And I had some not so great moments, but kind of just keeping my head down, keep working, and just try to do my part every single day to help the team is what I took away from it the most. And that really carried me on throughout my career because it really taught me to kind of push through things, right? Like not everything's going to be perfect in the NFL nor life in general. But really life in the NFL, like you're going to have weeks that are bad and you're going to, even as a 5-year, 6-year, 7-year veteran, like you're going to have ups and downs, but just keep your head down and work. And that rookie year really helped me push through that. And then obviously winning the ultimate prize at the end of it really capped it off. But looking back at that rookie year, man, I wouldn't have traded how that went, obviously, with the Super Bowl, but how the ups and downs and ebbs and flows of that season kind of helped me and shaped me as a player for the rest of my career.
You're also an analyst for ESPN Radio in Green Bay or in Wisconsin in general. You've been able to follow the NFL closely in this division. You and I were talking last night about how much Detroit missed a guy like Frank Ragnow, missed a guy like Kevin Zeitler. What do you like about the Lions, and how much do you believe in Dan Campbell as their sideline leader?
Yeah, listen, I like a lot about the Lions, and I like the way they've built the team, and they've built it from inside out. And what I mean by that is they build it from the line of scrimmage and they go outward, right? I mean, you look at all the great weapons they have from, wide receivers and running backs and obviously the quarterback in Goff, and you look defensively, they got skilled players all over on the back end that are really talented, but they really build this group from the inside out. And I think that's why I appreciate it most, because it's in the mold of Dan Campbell, in my opinion, right? Like that's the way Dan Campbell is. I don't know him personally. I've heard him talk. I've obviously competed against his teams, but he's a tough physical guy. I think when he played, that's the way he was as well as a tight end. I think he was more of a blocker than he was a receiver, if I had to take a guess. And that's how he's molded and built his team. And you look at the way they play and the passion they play with, they model him. Like their play style is based off of how he is as a person. And to me, I know they had a bunch of injuries last year and the season didn't go exactly the way that Lions fans probably thought because of the year prior. But I see nothing than just a reload this year, especially if they stay healthy, and because the injury bug was bad last year. But I think they reloaded. They're competing for the North up there with Green Bay. And I mean, we'll see about Chicago. I have no idea. I had no idea last year that they were going to do that, and I have no idea how they'll be this year. But I see them again competing for the top of the North. I mean, I think 3 teams in the NFC North with over 10 wins is probably going to happen again, or it could even be more than that. Because that's how good I think Detroit and Green Bay and potentially Chicago can be.
You were teammates with Aaron Rodgers for a long time. Are you surprised he's still playing?
Like we were talking about last night, you and I I'm not surprised that he's playing. I'm actually surprised he made a decision to come back as early as he did, considering the last time he went to Pittsburgh, what was that, 2 years ago? It took him all the way until training camp to essentially make that decision. So I think how he made a decision so early is the one thing that surprises me. But at the same time, him coming back doesn't shock me, because I think that the arm talent, obviously, his IQ as a quarterback and as a football player is off the charts, and that'll never go away. And I mean, being able to play with him, I know how intelligent and smart and forward thinking he is. Like, that's what, obviously, the arm talent and what he could do physically separates him from a lot of people. But I don't think he gets enough credit for how intelligent he is on the field, and he sees things that are 2 steps ahead of everyone. And as long as that's still going for him, and now he gets paired back up with Mike McCarthy and that offense that he knows so well, it's like the back of his hand. Like, literally, he can get in and out of any single play, any protection. He can go run to pass to run, and do it with his eyes closed, essentially, based on what the defense has given him. It doesn't shock me, because I think he's very comfortable with that system. And obviously the coaches and the staff Mike has built in Pittsburgh, it's very Green Bay. I mean, my old O-line coach is there, Campy's one of my favorite coaches that I've ever played with or played for. He's out there, and a lot of that older staff from Green Bay is there. So it's very comfortable for him. And I think Pittsburgh has done some things in the offseason that should help them. Obviously, the question for me always with Pittsburgh is the offensive line. Are they going to be able to hold up and do what they need to do to protect Aaron? Because he's not 28 anymore, where he was breaking the pocket and running around, and you'd see that flick of the wrist and it would go, evading defenders and flicking his wrist, and the ball goes spiraling down the field 40 yards on the dot. That's not him. He's more of a pocket passer, and can he get out? Sure, but it's not his MO anymore, is getting out and punishing defenses when he's on the perimeter. So it's always, will the offensive line hold up? And then I think what shocked everyone last year was how poor their defense was. Yeah. Can the defense make a turnaround and actually support Aaron and that offense and give them more opportunities at the plate?
Yeah. Well, it'll be an interesting year. Speaking of comfort, I mean, you were so comfortable last night with your family in front of a bunch of wonderful people. It's obvious why you're being inducted into the National Polish American Sports Hall of Fame. A lot to be proud of, even more tonight. We look forward to seeing you tonight. Thanks for a little bit of your time this morning, Brian. Enjoy the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Look forward to seeing you later tonight.
Okay, that's Brian Balaga, who is being inducted into the 53rd annual induction banquet of the National Polish American Sports Hall of Fame. He'll go in with David Legwan, Rob Gronkowski, Dave Myers. It's a phenomenal event. And by the way, it's sold out. It's the largest they've ever had. If you get an opportunity, it's in Troy, Michigan. Check it out. Doesn't take you long, but it's very educational. Looking forward to that tonight. Looking forward to being with you tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock from Blythefield Country Club in Grand Rapids. Andy and I will be there. Andy's they're there right now. The Huge Show is there this afternoon as well. Check him out from 3 to 7. Have a great day, everybody.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marks, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
In the den. It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. It's amazing how quickly the baseball season can go. The Tigers are 74 games deep into the season and scuffling in just about every aspect of the game. Nothing has been reliable. And that's pretty evident when you're 14 games under 500, 9.5 back in the division, and 6.5 back in the wild card. It's not hyperbole to think this homestand that begins Friday night is the last chance for them to make a strong push. The next 10 games at Comerica Park features the division leading White Sox. Then it's the Yankees, who own the American League's best record, are in for 3. And finally, the Astros, who just beat the Tigers 2 out of 3. The good news for Detroit is the rotation, the starting rotation anyway, against the White Sox. It'll be Tarek Skubal tomorrow night, followed by Troy Melton and Justin Verlander Sunday, who makes his first Comerica Park start as a Tiger since 2017.
Hey, West Michigan, Mitch Lyons here. You've heard about our support of Tiger legend Kirk Gibson's fight against Parkinson's disease. Now we have a local opportunity to support West Michigan families affected by Parkinson's too. The first annual Drive Out Parkinson's Golf event, presented by the Grady's Parkinson's Promise, will be held Monday, June 29th at Watermark Country Club. And while the golf is at full capacity, you still have a chance to help support the cause. Mitch Lyons Wealth is the title sponsor, and we'd love to have others join us. If your business would like to support and be represented at the outing, or if you would like to contribute personally,